What's up guys, and welcome to a new video. So today I'm bringing you a level 1 through 50 rogue guide for season 1 start. And yes, this is after the new patch 1.1.0 and all of the nerfs. I decided to give you guys a fresh guide. The core skill that we're going to use in this guide is Twisting Blades. It's always been really strong. It's still really strong, even after the nerfs. As you can see in the background, I'm completing the level 50 Capstone dungeon at level 40. And part of the reason I did that was to replicate having 10 less skill points. Because I have all my renown done right here so far, and I have the 10 extra skill points. But at the start of the season, I'm sure there's a lot of people that won't have those right away. In this guide, we will cover the leveling and the mechanics of the build. We're also going to cover the gear and the aspects used that are all obtainable in the Codex of Power. I made sure not to use any aspects that weren't in the Codex. We will cover the specialization choices and the skill tree choices, followed up by the level 50 Capstone Dungeon boss fight. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and briefly go over our skills that were used in the build. Use Puncture. At this point, I basically use this for generating energy, but at the beginning you will put a couple points into this and you will be killing enemies with it. Also, this not only regenerates energy, but it can make enemies vulnerable too. So down here into Twisting Blades, this is our bread and butter. This is our main damage dealer. Really strong skill overall. Into Dash. Now, for mobility with the rogue, you have Dash or you have Shadow Step. Shadow Step is nice later on, but I think 1 through 50, Dash was better because you don't get crowd controlled too often. Shadow Step's awesome. It makes you go unstoppable and gets you out of crowd control. But Dash, you get 2 charges. As you can see, it slows enemies and also dazes enemies that are slowed already, basically crowd controlling them. So Dash is really nice, especially 1 through 50. We're going to go with Dark Shroud. This is going to give us damage reduction and movement speed overall. Poison Trap. This is going to knock enemies down because of our skill tree, which we'll go more into there. It gives us critical strike chance. It also has that 30% chance you can see down there to reset your imbuement skill, which is really nice. So like 1 out of every 3 times you're resetting your imbuement skills and you don't have to wait on the cooldown on that. And then for the imbuement, we're going to use Shadow Imbuement, which is really nice. When you inflict shadow damage from this imbuement skill on enemies, basically they explode and it damages enemies around them. It has a really nice effect. And then when it explodes and the enemies that it damages, it also makes them vulnerable. And then on top of that, we get energy back from using this as well, which we'll see in the skill tree. Alright, so I'll briefly show you how these skills synergize. So basically you want to always try to cast your Shadow Imbuement. You get 2 uses out of it. Now it's good to use it with Dash. You want to dash through a pack of enemies. Right here, you know, I'll dash through these guys. Now they're infected. Hit the Shadow Imbuement again. Use the Poison Trap. And as you see right there, the Poison Trap actually reset my Shadow Imbuement. You know, which is really nice. And Poison Trap just helps to slow enemies down. Helps. Now, right now I did cast the Dark Shroud. You should try to have that up at all times. But like I was saying, the Poison Trap helps to slow enemies down, knocks them down. It's just really nice for crowd control and helping you out with tougher enemies. And then it can also reset our Shadow Imbuement. So we'll cast Shadow Imbuement again. We'll come up to these guys right here. We'll dash through them. Then we'll go stick them with our Twisting Blades. Okay. See, they blow up. We get energy back from when they blow up, which is really nice. Come to these enemies, cast that. Make sure to keep everything up, guys. Want to come around. Oh, just hit level 41. We're just blowing everybody out. If you blowing everybody up. If you run out of energy, you're going to want to use Puncture. So we'll pretend as if we ran out of energy. Use Puncture on this guy to rebuild energy. Then stick him with Twisting Blades. Shadow Imbuement. We'll cast our Poison Trap. Make sure that our Dark Shroud is up. Go through this guy. You'll see that he will blow up. Then it kind of starts like a chain effect, which is really nice. Now also, as our specialization, we use Inner Sight. Briefly, I'll show you. You want to look for the guy with the little thing above his head, like this guy right here. You want to attack this guy. Now when this gauge down here fills up, then you have unlimited energy for like 3 or 4 seconds. So you can just sit there and keep casting your Twisting Blades while you have the unlimited energy, which is really nice. Alright guys, so as far as leveling, really quick, I basically went around just doing nightmare dungeons. I did strongholds. Make sure once you're able to get elixirs that you use elixirs. You know, go through and do whatever dungeons you have to unlock the aspects that you need in the Codex of Power, I would say at the start of the season, just grind Renown. Now, once you do hit level 25 is when you will be able to imprint and get aspects. You'll want to come to the Occultist right here, Demian and Kiovashad, and you can put aspects on the gear. I am going to go through the gear and I will show you all of the aspects that I used. Now, the aspects that I used were all from the Codex of Power, so they're all obtainable. And really quickly, I'll show you how to find out where you get a certain aspect. Like if you're looking for a certain aspect that I go over on the gear, you're going to come into the Codex of Power here. Now you can see I have all of these, but the one down here I don't have yet. If I wanted to know where this was, I would just left click it. It says right there down there, pin on map. You left click it, right? Now you open up your map. It'll show you where to go to get that aspect. And that works for all of the aspects in the Codex of Power. That aspect's going to be right up here. That's the only one that I haven't gotten yet. But anyways, okay. So into the gear. Up on the helmet, we use the eluding aspect. In your helmet, you want to try to get whatever you can, especially 1 through 50. You know, these stats aren't super important. You want to try to go for certain things, though. The aspect that I used up here was the eluding aspect. You can see becoming injured while crowd controlled grants you unstoppable for 4 seconds. This effect has a 40-second cooldown. So basically, you know, if you're stuck, you're frozen, you can't move, or for whatever reason you become injured, you go unstoppable for 4 seconds and you can get out of it, which is pretty nice. Into the chest, you know, you want to basically get whatever you can right here. Damage reduction, life, whatever you can find, whatever's decent. Right here, the imprint that I have is the aspect of the Protector, which you get in the Codex, obviously. Damaging Elite grants you a barrier, which is really nice for 10 seconds. And, you know, you can do that once every 30 seconds. Into the gloves, this is one gear piece, even at a lower level, that I would say try to get ranks of Twisting Blades, critical strike chance, attack speed, you know, whatever you can. Like on this build right here, you can see we get damage out of dexterity. If you can get dexterity on those, or just whatever you can find from 1 to 50 on these. The aspect that we do use on here, though, is the Vengeful aspect. Making an enemy vulnerable has up to a 40% chance to grant 3% increased critical strike chance for 3 seconds, up to 9%, which is pretty nice. You know, we want to get crit chance wherever we can. Into the pants, right here we use the aspect of Might. Basic skills grant 20% damage reduction for 2 seconds, which is always nice. Damage reduction is always good. It's going to get you through higher tier content at whatever level you're at. On your pants, you know, I found pants that had Dark Shroud, +2 to Dark Shroud, which was nice. You want to try to get damage reduction, life, whatever you can find. But basically damage reduction, life, maximum armor, whatever you can find, maximum armor %, whatever you can find in your pants. Down on the boots, I would definitely try to get energy cost reduction and movement speed on those at least. You know, whatever else you can find, any stats, plus is the skills. I would go for that imprint down there, the Windstriker imprint, or the aspect of Windstriker. Critical strikes grant 8% movement speed for 1 second up to 6 seconds. You know, you always want to be moving around quicker, doing things faster, which is nice. Right here now on your two-hander, this is basically a stat stick for this build. We don't, you know, do any long-range damage. So you want to try to go with the crossbow, because it gives you the implicit of vulnerable damage up there. And then, you know, the different damage stats that you can look for in this build are vulnerable damage, damage to close enemies, which is good. You know, stunned is alright. Sometimes they're stunned. Core skill damage, physical damage, which Twisting Blades does physical. You know, there's a lot of different damages you can look for. 1 to 50, I wouldn't stress it too much. Just try to get whatever best ones you can find. On here, though, you definitely want to imprint the Blade Dancers aspect. Twisting Blades orbit around you for a short time and they return to you, dealing 20% of their Twisting Blades return damage per hit. Based on the distance, the blades return up to 40%, basically. Which is, you know, pretty nice. You want to have that aspect. That's really important. That's what makes the blades circle around you and, you know, hit a bunch of enemies all at once. So you definitely want to find that, or get that aspect. Up here into the amulet. Now on the amulet, because of the recent nerf, the aspect of disobedience is what we have on here. We can get a little bit more out of it. They nerf the crap out of this, so you get a lot less, and this is actually the best defensive aspect you can have in the game. As you can see right there, you gain 0.38% increased armor for 4 seconds when you deal any form of damage, stacking up to 22.5%, which is, you know, definitely nice. You want to have that aspect, and I would definitely put that onto your amulet. Then on your amulet, look for plus ranks to skills. You know, I got imbuement skill +1 to the ranks. You want to get energy cost reduction, cooldown reduction if you can. Cutthroat skill damage I have right there. That's, you know, Twisting Blades is a cutthroat skill. Into the rings, you want to get Edge Masters on one of your rings. The Edge Masters aspect, right here you can see skills deal up to 10% increased damage based on your available primary resource when cast, receiving the maximum benefit while you have full primary resource. You know, that's a multiplicative damage. Anytime you see that X next to damage, that means that it's multiplicative. So it's going to give you more than additive damage would. That's really nice. And especially, you know, with the Edge Masters aspect on the Rogue, when our inner sight makes it to where our energy is full for like 3 seconds, we just take maximum effect from that aspect. So it's really nice. Try to get crit chance on your rings, crit damage, life, energy, basically whatever you can find as far as damage. But I would say try to at least get critical strike chance. We want to get our crit chance up with this, even from 1 to 50. On the other ring, I got Circle of the Umbral. And basically that's aspect of the Umbral. Restore 1 of your primary resource when you crowd control an enemy. Anytime that we dash through enemies, they're slowed. That's a form of crowd control. So we're getting 1 energy back for each one of those enemies, which just helps to keep our energy levels up, which is nice. And then I have some damage on there. Crit strike chance, life, damage to close enemies. Down here now into our weapons. You want to try and you want to go with daggers if possible. You can use swords, but with daggers, the implicit up there, you get damage to close enemies. And then, you know, whatever good damages you can find on the highest damage daggers you can get. Right there, the aspect that we have in here is Blast Trapper's aspect. Dealing direct damage to enemies affected by your trap skills has up to 30% chance to make them vulnerable for 3 seconds. And we're always casting our poison trap, so we have a chance of making enemies vulnerable that are affected by that with that aspect. On the other one, I went with the aspect of corruption. Basically, your imbuement skill effects have 20% increased potency against vulnerable enemies, giving us a little bit more damage with the shadow imbuement. Kind of nice. And then, you know, like I said, with the weapons, try to get as high as damage as you possibly can. That's what you definitely want to go with on your weapons. Now we will jump into our specialization. Now, you unlock your specializations with Rogue at level 15. You will only start out with combo points, but then at level 20, you will unlock Inner Sight. This is the one that we're going to use. Attack marked enemies to fill up your Inner Sight gauge, which is right down here, like I showed you earlier. When it is full, gain unlimited energy for 4 seconds, which is really nice, especially against bosses and stuff. It helps keep your energy full and you're just going to town on them. Alright, so now we will go into the skill tree. We're going to start here at the top. Now from level 1, you're going to want to directly go into Puncture. You're going to use this for damage and killing enemies at first. I think I only had 1 point into it. You're going to want to go back into Enhance for gain 2 energy when Puncture damages a crowd control enemy. And then Fundamental Puncture, which makes it to where enemies are going to be vulnerable for 2 seconds when you hit them with at least 2 of the 3 blades. Making an enemy vulnerable is really nice. It makes it to where they take 20% increased damage overall. So that's a big deal. Vulnerable is a big deal. Now we're going to come down here into our core skills. For our core skill, we're going to get Twisting Blades. Try to get the plus ranks on the gloves if you can. Then we're going to come back here into Twisting Blades, deals 30% increased damage when returning. And then back here into Improved Twisting Blades. Now, a lot of people will go into Advanced for 1 through 50 though. And what Advanced does is it kind of brings your cooldowns down depending on enemies that are hit. But the reason that I go into Improved Twisting Blades, enemies are dazed while impaled with Twisting Blades. And as you can see down here really quick, for our key passive, we choose Momentum. And the way that Momentum works is when you hit a stunned, dazed, or frozen enemy, you gain stacks of your Momentum and up to 3. So basically it makes it to where we're always, you know, dazing or hitting a dazed enemy. So that's why for this we take Improved Twisting Blades. Now you can see right here we have Sturdy for close damage reduction. We didn't take Siphoning Strikes. They did change it with the new nerf. As you can see right there, now it's on 75% chance on lucky hit that you basically get life leech. I just felt going 1 through 50 it wasn't worth taking. We don't have a high lucky hit chance right now, so I didn't mess with that. You do want the damage reduction from Sturdy, and then you do want to get Stutter Step. Basically, we're crit striking pretty often. We get 15% more movement speed. Now, I will say you don't want to go into Sturdy or Stutter Step until a little bit later on. Basically, you're going to start out, get this. You're going to come down to Twisting Blades. The next levels, max that out and go back here. Then you're going to want to come down and get into Dash, back here and into Enhanced Dash, and then also back here into Discipline to slow enemies, which is really nice. It crowd controls them. We are going to get weapon mastery, but don't get that right away. You're actually, before getting that, you can come back and get that at the later levels, but before getting that, you're going to want to come down into your subterfuge skills, and you're going to grab Dark Shroud, just 1 point into that. Enhanced Dark Shroud for a 14% chance for each one not to be consumed, and then Subverting Dark Shroud, which gives us 4% increased movement speed per Dark Shroud that we have. So that's really nice. So we get damage reduction and movement speed. Always two good things to have. We're going to come down here as soon as we possibly can while leveling into Poison Trap, get 1 into there, or Enhanced Poison Trap, and countering Poison Trap. This makes it to where after that, when we get our imbuement skill, basically it can reset our imbuement skill like pretty much 1 out of every 3 uses, which is really nice, and you actually notice it. We also take Exploit for more damage to healthy and injured enemies. It's multiplicative, so it's a nice boost. And we're going to get Malice, 9% increased damage to vulnerable enemies, but I would say get those last when you start getting closer to level 50. Don't get those right away. Still continue down. You're going to want to go into your imbuement skills right here and grab Shadow Imbuement, 1 back into Enhanced, and then 1 into Blended to make enemies vulnerable for 2 seconds from the primary explosion, which is nice. Now, Shadow Imbuement also is going to give us energy for every enemy that blows up. We pretty much get 30 energy, so you want to go 1 point into here just to get back in here into Consuming Shadows, which is really nice. We want to keep our energy up as often as possible. Don't worry about anything else down here from 1 to 50. We're going to come down here into our ultimate skills. Now, we're not going to take any ultimate skills. Some people may look at this guide and be like, well, why didn't you take Death Trap? I actually ran Death Trap over Poison Trap for a little while. Poison Trap from 1 to 50 is just a lot stronger. Now, with different variations of the build, different gear, and when you go into the Paragon board later on, you know, you can do whatever you want. Spec in the Death Trap, get rid of Poison, change imbuements. But for level 1 through 50, I would not go with Death Trap. It just felt a lot weaker. With Poison Trap, also we get, you know, a lot of benefits from this, as well as, you know, when we run Death Trap, we would have to use Exposure, and then, you know, we don't get Inner Sight. We change our specialization, and we just don't want to do that. The build that I have here is just a lot stronger and just flew through everything. I mean, in like half a day, I got basically to level 40 where I'm at. So you'll go from level 1 to 50 in no time. But down here, after getting everything else, you'll want to come and put 1 point into Adrenaline Rush, and then you want to get 3 points down here while into Haste, while at or above 50% maximum energy, gain 15% increased movement speed, while below 50% maximum energy, gain 15% increased attack speed, which is really nice. And then also over here, we're going to get Trap Mastery. Now, you see right here, when Poison Trap or Death Trap activates, you gain 12% increased critical strike chance against vulnerable enemies and crowd control enemies for 4 seconds, which is, you know, really nice to have. You want to get 3 points into that. And then at this point, you'll go back and fill in these ones up here that I have. Fill in Weapon Mastery at the end also. Basically, you know, when we have daggers, I got 3 points into this, so we get 15% multiplicative damage to healthy enemies, and healthy's above like 85 or 80% life, which is nice. And then you'll want to get 3 into Sturdy for damage reduction while close, 12%, which is really nice. Now into our key passive down here, as I said earlier, we're gonna want to go with Momentum, Cutthroat skills, which Twisting Blades is a cutthroat skill. Grant a stack of momentum for 8 seconds if they either hit a stunned, dazed, or frozen enemy, and we're always dazing enemies with Twisting Blades because of our choice up above. Well, at 3 stacks of momentum, you gain 20% increased damage reduction, 30% increased energy regeneration, and 15% increased movement speed. All awesome for the build. So, you know, I did try different variations and everything else, and this is all what worked out the best for me. It's really powerful. It'll get you through those 50 levels in no time. You'll be in World Tier 3. Hopefully this guide has been helpful for you guys. I just wanted to thank you guys. I hit 5,000 subs. I really appreciate that. If you guys ended up enjoying this video or it was helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave me a comment down below, maybe something you would change, or, you know, anything you got to say, man. If you have anything to say about the new nerfs, if you don't like the game anymore, whatever the case may be, let me know down below. I will leave you with the level 50 Capstone Dungeon Boss skill right here, and I did complete that at level 40. All right, guys, thanks for watching.